Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi-Wan Alliance. I'm Jacob,
I'm Luke.
and we are a YouTube channel that offer two different perspectives.
Jake will be offering the perspective of someone that is on the autism spectrum, and I'll be offering the opinion of someone that is not. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel heaps. And what are we doing in today's video, Jake?
We are breaking down episode 3 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Already broke down the first 2 episodes. Now we're on to the third. We're starting to get into weekly releases on every Wednesday on Disney Plus. Recap for us, what happens in this episode?
Basically, they have escaped the hunt from the Inquisitors, and now they are on a different planet, and they're waiting from the help of I forgot his name in the show, but he's the famous comedian, the Pakistani comedian, very famous actor, basically they didn't wait, and then they got on this like cargo empire transport and had different identities. What I think is actually pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of Born Identity and not knowing your identity. I think it's pretty cool that Leia and Obi-Wan have that different identity, and Obi-Wan spills the beans, but Leia and Obi-Wan still continue.
Yeah, they find a way to get out of... They're getting kind of grilled for questions by some
stormtroopers.
Yeah, by some stormtroopers. And they escape that, but the gentleman driving the cargo transporter is still a bit suspect on him, so he takes them to get further investigated at a road stop. And that's where things kind of hit a bump in the road. So Obi-Wan's forced to draw his weapon and defend himself, and only to then be engaged by even more stormtroopers. So what happens when more stormtroopers come about, and that's kind of where this episode kind of comes to life.
Basically, we know he's surrounded, and then the one that was sent to help him is disguised as an Imperial officer that used to work for the Imperials, but she sees that they're not as good, and she wants to help how she thought the Empire was going to help. And then there was a probe that saw Obi-Wan, and that's how the Inquisitors and Darth Vader learns his whereabouts, and that's how the episode very coolly starts on Mustafar at Darth Vader's castle.
Yeah, so they then... This lady that's helping them shows them these underground tunnels where they can go and kind of escape from what's happening. But then Obi-Wan can sense that Darth Vader is around, or he knows him as Anakin at this time, and he feels obligated to go and either fight him or defend himself, or at least leave Leia to a safe passage, because he feels that by him being around, she will be in danger, I assume. And then that leads to some cool fight scenes. We get to see Darth Vader get quite a bit of screen time, which was really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
So talk us through what happens there, and then the fight scene.
Basically, Darth Vader enters in the domain, and then executes people, and we get to see him at his cold best, and then Obi-Wan tells Leia to go away and be free, and then
and so we see Darth Vader in a bit of a cat and mouse with Obi-Wan. Leia suggests to the lady that was helping her that she'll be fine. She needs to go help Obi-Wan, so she then leaves Leia alone, and she goes out to help Obi-Wan. And then Darth Vader kind of has Obi-Wan in a bit of a pickle there. He's like, got him under control with the Force. He's got flames on the ground. He's dragging him through the fire, trying to torture him. And this lady starts firing a few rounds off and kind of gives Obi-Wan a chance to escape. and then that's kind of where that's left off. And then we return to Leia, and we find that the third sister, Raven, has actually worked out what's going on there and has kind of got Leia in a difficult situation. Do you want to explain that a bit?
Basically, Leia was going to where she was told a transport ship was, and then she keeps running, and then she sees Raven, who says, "Oh, I'm going to help you," and then she sees a dead person on the floor, and then realizes that Raven isn't there to help her, and Raven catches her. What kind of makes you think that the people that couldn't catch her in the beginning, what was kind of silly?
Yeah. So she's executed the person that's meant to be helping her, and we're kind of now assuming that she's going to take Leia and use her as bait to draw in Obi-Wan. And that's where the episode leaves us off. So what do you think of this episode out of the 3 we've seen so far? Where's it ranked for you so far?
I think it's definitely on top. I really enjoyed seeing Darth Vader's castle and Mustafar, and seeing him really angry, and just seeing a lot of cool things, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. What did you think?
Yeah, it was my favourite so far. We got to see, Obi-Wan draw his lightsaber. We got to see a bit of a lightsaber battle. We got to see Darth Vader, executing people, being quite dark and evil, which is, we saw that in episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars, but we didn't get to see a lot of screen time of him in those movies, and now we're getting to see him kind of building up to the evilness that we came accustomed to in the movies. So it's quite cool to see a bit more of a transition of him going from Anakin to Darth Vader. So I'm really liking what we've seen in this episode so far.
And did you also like how Obi-Wan saw Anakin Skywalker's hand in criticism as it goes?
Yeah, it was quite cool. For me, I think it's the best episode so far, and I think a lot of people will be happy that we got to see Obi-Wan draw his lightsaber. One criticism you said some people had was surrounding the fire and what happened there. Do you want to talk me through that?
Basically, Darth Vader, instead of killing Obi-Wan, what makes more sense, because when someone does something to you, you want them to feel the pain that they put you through. So basically, Darth Vader, there's some fire canisters, and then he uses the Force to, start a fire, and then he puts Obi-Wan in the fire, what I think makes more sense. And then a lot of people have been saying that, why didn't Darth Vader just go through the fire? Well, he has fire issues, and that's understandable. People are scared of spiders, different sort of things. So, I guess everyone has their weakness. Like, Spider-Man is scared of kryptonite. Like, we all have weaknesses.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to go in the fire. I think he created the flames. He was using his powers to drag him through. And the only reason that he didn't fully drag him through was because
he didn't want to kill him.
Well, that plus the lady had shot down, started firing shots. So I think if that scene continued on and she wasn't there, then he would have came all the way through, and then I think Darth Vader would have probably executed him then. So I don't think there's a criticism there about the flames. I think he did exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to drag him through and punish him, but his plans were foiled before they came to fruition.
Well, when you think about it, it would be too merciful to kill someone. If you want someone to feel how you feel, did the same thing to you, you would burn someone instead of just going, I'll just force choke you. That's more merciful. Yeah,
I think he was going to execute him. I think that she'd got there in the nick of time to save Obi-Wan. What was your favourite part of the episode?
I guess seeing how there's two different parallels between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. Darth Vader is still using the Force and really angry, and he's at his powers, where Obi-Wan is like running away, and like the differences.
I thought that was cool. My favourite, I think, would be finally seeing a lightsaber battle. Not that I felt that it was overly needed. I was just cool to finally see that happen. What was your least favourite thing of the episode, or something that was caught your eye, was a bit off?
Oh, I guess the arguments between the Inquisition, I guess how the third sister and the fifth sister have their banter. It feels like they think they're so, they they need the title and they feel that it's worthy towards them, and I just question why they think that when we haven't seen them do anything. So I guess their banter.
One thing I thought was strange is the driver of the transporter. I felt that his costume looked really fake. Like it looked super like rubbery, and it looked like a really poor mask. And I think that's a bit odd for a studio that has lots of money. Unless that was the style they were going for, it just looked really not real. Or I thought maybe they could have CGI'd something that would have looked far better. That was one little weird thing I noticed about it. Something I did really like about it, though, is how they're showing that there's people that are supportive of what the Empire are trying to do, which I think is really odd. I was under the assumption that everyone was against the Empire, but there's actually some people that like what they do and that they bring in order, and then some people then even change their mind once they get quite involved with the Empire and realise that they're not what they thought they were. So it's, opening up the politics, and I think the Andor series will probably show a bit more of that, showing people that are, oppressed by them and then wanting to revolt against them. So I think it's opening up, a bit more. Star Wars has been very political, but it hasn't really focused on the people as such, just the everyday people that live on the planets that are actually the ones most affected by what the Empire are doing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, which I think that's quite cool to add to the show.
So do you think, because I feel like with this show so far, there are some things that people don't like about it, and that being that with Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's hiding his identity, and I know some criticisms that other people have had. Their main one is they just feel like I don't know what they want him to be like dancing around with a lightsaber and like showing off to the authorities. Like, to me, their complaints are confusing, and a lot of people, I think, are upset that Darth Vader didn't go through the flames. Like, really small things that are like, well, what are you actually complaining about? Like, I personally don't understand, and I think for some people, because it's a limited series, they want everything to be perfect, and they can't just go, well, this is really a prequel to The New Hope.
Yeah, I don't understand why there's criticism around that. It makes so much sense. Obi-Wan was hoping to, just sneak in and sneak out, like rescue Leia, return to where he was working, and, continue on with his life.
Watching Luke.
Yeah, he didn't want to have to use his powers if he didn't have to. There's a reason why he chose to use a pistol opposed to using a lightsaber. Like, I'm sure he probably would have had more success with the lightsaber with his endeavours so far. So he's been tactically choosing when he does and doesn't want to show his cards. So I don't see the criticisms with that. And, I think it has been quite action-packed for the 3 episodes we've got. And we've got 3 more to go, is that correct?
Yeah.
So we're building up, and we're getting a really nice story that ties into The New Hope quite well. So I don't know what people are expecting. You've got 3 hours of action so far that's been really good, and you've got 3 more to look forward to, and we've kind of passed that slump now. We've finally seen him use his powers. We've seen him pull out the lightsaber. We've seen the next kind of chapter with Leia. She was rescued, but then she is now needing to be rescued again. And we've seen Darth Vader. I thought we were going to be waiting longer before he came out. So we've got 3 hours of more cat and mouse between Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, and then somehow Leia being rescued. So there's lots to come, and there's no mystery about what's going to happen now. We now just get to sit back and enjoy the good parts that are about to come.
What do you feel like they're going to do with the Raven character? Do you think they're going to have a redemption arc, or because we know she's not in the New Hope unless they somehow write it that she wasn't in the movie like what they did with Ahsoka and the Revenge of the Sith. What would you like to see with her character?
Well, they've hinted that she was probably a youngling, and then she then got converted to being an Inquisitor. So whether she changes her allegiance and maybe helps Obi-Wan, and maybe dies in the whilst happening, or maybe it's revealed why she absolutely hates Obi-Wan and maybe he has to take her out. I'm not sure, but I reckon it's probably leading towards a redemption arc and her somehow helping save the day, because we obviously know this doesn't end with Obi-Wan defeating Darth Vader. We've got multiple movies to go before their kind of battle comes to a conclusion. So it's got to be someone helping him escape with Leia, and I feel like she might be the one to do it, because if they were to, if he was to get away scot-free and completely get out of it, you would think that Leia would have been continued to be, chased after or pursued by Darth Vader for the ongoing future. But obviously in The New Hope, she's, I assume in her 20s, so she's more than 10 years older than she is at her current age now, and she didn't get, taken hostage to that 20 to 10 or so years later. So there must be a reason why Darth Vader doesn't continue to pursue her. So, maybe Raven has something to do with that.
Do you feel any understanding of why people have the feelings that they are? Or do you agree with me that it's kind of nitpicks because fans are, I don't want to say are the cause for why things are bad, or do you feel like they just have too much expectations and just wanted laser sword fights for the sake of it and are kind of not... Because I actually personally like that Obi-Wan's not using his Force powers. It's more, we know that he doesn't until The New Hope, and someone could argue, well, that's lazy writing, but we know why he's not doing it.
I think there is those fans out there that, can create this toxic culture in Star Wars fandom that nothing's ever good enough. And they're never satisfied, yet they love the series, but they can find a million complaints as to things they don't like about it. And I can't wrap my head around that. If I like something, I like it. And if I dislike it, I dislike it. I can't be like, I'm a mega fan, but I hate this, and that. Like, that doesn't make sense. You either like it or you don't. Like, when I hear people talk about how they discount certain episodes in the main trilogy, well, not the main trilogy, but out of the 6 films, that they like, oh, that doesn't count. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. You can, you can't say you like something, but you want to skip something out of it. I think you have to see it as a whole. And to go, well, this is building onto something else. You can't just nitpick that, oh, well, he didn't do that, he didn't do this. Well, in that case, well, why didn't he kill Darth Vader, and why didn't episode 4, 5, and 6 not exist then? Like, what do you want him to do? You want Obi-Wan to defeat Darth Vader in these shows, and then those movies to not make any sense anymore? Like, you know how it ends. So you, to be complaining about him not doing these things, it seems silly. It's like, oh, well, in that case, well, why didn't Obi-Wan just, kill Anakin when he was a youngling then, and then we just, never had a Star Wars altogether? Like, there's a reason you like the series. If you want to fix every plot hole in it or loop, then it would mean that future things you did like would no longer exist because they would have been sold before they happened. So I think you just have to enjoy it for what it is, and if you don't enjoy it, then maybe you're not a real fan.
Any predictions for episode 4, or where you'd like to see the story going?
I don't know what episode 4 is going to be about. Obviously, Leia's going to be taken by Raven, but as to what happens, whether Raven takes her somewhere else and keeps her away from Darth Vader because she wants to prove that she can do it on her own, or does she take her to... Would we at this point assume the Death Star's already been built, or in the process of being built?
I would assume so. That's how the Revenge of the Sith ended, with the Death Star being built.
Yeah, so do they then go to the Death Star or something, and then But I don't know. I don't know how Obi-Wan rescues her from that point. So maybe Raven takes her somewhere away from the rest of her team to give her, and then that's the only way Obi-Wan could probably save her. Because if he had to, storm the Death Star by himself, I feel like that's a pretty unlikely mission. But maybe it does go that way. That would be kind of cool either way. Well, we ultimately know she gets saved. So whatever happens, he does save her.
Do you feel like the limited series choice, because I don't know about you, but for me it actually works for Obi-Wan, but I feel like for some people they go, oh, there's only 3 episodes left, that's a bad thing. But for me, I go, well, I actually think it's good it's a limited series, that they can't do anything bad. But I think for some people they go, oh, there's only these many episodes left, but they think negatively. Well, personally for me, I go, well, they can't mess anything up. Yes, you could argue that episodes 1 and 2 were setting up this, getting later, but for me, it makes sense for why she, for one, said you were my only hope at episode 4. Why did she have that relationship with Obi-Wan Kenobi? Now this show explains why, and I guess some people want more content. I don't know.
Oh, I guess being content hungry is not the worst thing, but we accept the fact, we've got around 6 hours of viewing time. Something that was going to be 3 movies is now turned into 6 limited series and 6 episodes of a limited series. And I think it's quite good, because if we made it movies, where do we cut it off? And you ultimately know with movies, it's a minimum of 1 year between movies. So that would mean we have to wait 3 years minimum to see all this, where we're now getting to see it in 4 weeks. So we get 5 weeks. So we get 2 episodes week 1, and then 4 more episodes for the next 4 weeks. So within 5 weeks, we're getting what would be spread out over 3 years of movies, if not more. So I think we should be lucky that we're getting to see it this way. And it's just easy. I really like it. I have no problem whether it's on a big screen or on a small screen, as long as it's good writing, and I think it's fine.
Do you think it's the show's fault that people aren't as positives toward it, or do you think that's the audience member going, this is what I thought the show's going to be, and then do you think that's the show's fault, or because I'm enjoying it, so...
Well, I guess that's just the assumption of what you thought it was going to be about, and it was something different. I'm sure there's other people that would have had a different idea of where they saw this season going, and maybe their idea was better, maybe it was worse. It's just a matter of what they thought. Before it started, I didn't really have any idea of where it was going to go. The trailer kind of led that it was going to be about, Obi-Wan filling in those gaps between him going into hiding and then coming out in the New Hope. So as to what he did in that time, I had no idea. And I guess George Lucas he could write anything he wanted, really. But instead he's chose to write a story that relates to the next set of films, opposed to making it about something random, like Obi-Wan went and, defeated a colony somewhere here or saved someone random. Instead they made it link in, which I think is better. Because we could have got something real random that would have been like, oh, cool, it's about Obi-Wan. But did it make the story better, or was it just an excuse to have Obi-Wan in? Now we've really got what we've said before is like episode 3.5, which is cooler. This is good enough if you mix them together and made it one long movie. There's no reason this couldn't be be part of the main series. You got to watch episode 1, 2, 3, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series 4, 5, 6. That makes sense. And yeah. And then there's more after that. What are the most recent ones called that have Rey in it?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Yeah, you got Rogue One's on the side. Yeah, you watched that. And what's the one with Rey?
The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, so you could watch those 9 films and you could chuck this in between episodes 3 and 4. And that really works, and it builds onto it. So I think it's nice.
Yeah, and The Mandalorian has plot holes. Like when everything has plot holes, but sometimes not everything can be perfect. It's just, I admit Obi-Wan Kenobi isn't perfect, but I think the main fact is, are you enjoying it? I think that's the main thing that you got to ask. And for me, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, totally. And as I say, I think because it adds on to the main series. Well, it's kind of part of it if I think about it. See, like the Solo film, whether it was good or not, it's kind of, like a backstory to Han. It kind of, it adds a bit to it, but it doesn't fall into it's not required. And, and then we look at like the Book of Boba Fett again, that, it's something that adds on, but is it required to make sense of the main story? Not really. You add in The Mandalorian again, it adds on, but it's not part of the main series. Like, you don't have to watch it. Where this really fills in gaps. Like, I guess you didn't have to watch it because it's only now being written, but now it would seem stupid not to watch it because it would explain episode 4 so much better. And I think, I think it works really well, and I'm 100% enjoying the direction it went, opposed to just being a random story. And the new Andor series coming will kind of add to Rogue One, and I think Rogue One, again, it's not required, but it does add on to the main series because it does have a significant impact on the main series with the Death Star being destroyed. So yeah, I think it's a really cool format, and as a Star Wars fan, it would be silly, I think, not to watch it to fill in the gaps between episodes 3 and 4.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Where do you see the ending going, or will we talk about that later?
I really don't know, and I guess because it's been written after the fact. Like, episode 4 has already been out for maybe 40 years or something. Like, it's not new. It can kind of go anywhere long as it joins up with the start of episode 4. So George Lucas can go as, wild as he likes, because we know where it goes. It's not like he's going to throw a spanner in the works that goes, oh, what's the next thing going to be about? We know what it's about. We know where it starts. So speculating, obviously Obi-Wan saves Leia, but as to why Leia gets left alone and why Obi-Wan is able to go back to the planet where he was and be left alone, and why Luke Skywalker isn't hassled growing up, I don't know. I don't know how they explain that, but I guess they'll have to try and fill in some kind of blanks, because it would be odd to think why they wouldn't go back and try and do something.
Do you think we'll eventually see Hayden Christian do some acting?
I think we'd have to, because they did say that we would see him. And we've heard his voice, but that was just, it wasn't new recordings. It was taken from the film. I think so, but it might be a flashback or something. Yeah. But yeah, this definitely is a worthwhile series so far. It's adding on to it. Much like I haven't seen it, but you like the Rebels series. But that, again, adds on to the main series, because you can skip it because it's a lot of hours to watch, but it does explain that gap between, episodes 2 and 3.
Rebels explains from episode 3 to 4.
Okay, yeah, so it kind of fills in that gap of how
the Rebels started.
Yeah, sorry, that's not the one. I'm thinking of Clone Wars, my mistake. So I'm thinking if we get to see, Anakin do his training and see how he became powerful and got his skills, where in the movies it kind of goes from a little kid and he skips a lot. So it's I think it's something that adds on to the main series, just like the Clone Wars series does.
Well, thank you for watching. We are the Obi-Thrawn Alliance with different perspective. Like and subscribe. See you in episode 4 breakdown. Let the Force be with you. Bye-bye.